Hey folks, Paul David here from Sensei Publishing, and this is Bailey over here from Life of Bailey at Sensei Publishing. And this is the second of 3 origin story videos that hopefully will talk about the reasons why I've been publishing each of the 3 series at Sensei Publishing. So before we get started, sorry about all the chewing sounds you're going to hear from Bailey. I'm bribing him with these little dental stick things that he loves so much. Here, high five. Yes, good boy. And say hi to everybody. Say hi. Hi. Oh, don't knock over the camera. Okay, here, sit down. Okay, here, take that for now. Okay, good boy. So, here's the story about why I've been publishing these Life of Bailey books. So in the mid-20 teens, I was hit by a truck, knocked unconscious, and when I woke, my life changed quite a bit. And I had to come to grips with this terrible pain in my back that prevented me from sleeping, and these kind of PTSD nightmare daymare episodes that would randomly happen and make me feel like my heart's beating out of my chest, which it kind of was from time to time, and sweaty armpits, and just the thought of a truck coming down on me from time to time. So I was seeing a lot of doctors, therapists, to help me out with these problems, the physical ones and the not so physical ones. And when I was talking to one physical therapist, they said, you need something to help you with your rehabilitation. You need something to take your mind off of things as well as the physical things we're asking you to do. And I wondered what that was besides the protocol. So I was talking to my partner, and she said, hey, why don't we just get a dog? Why don't we just get a dog, man? And I thought, well, that would be kind of neat, because I always wanted a dog as a child, but it never worked out. My parents split when I was very young, and neither parent wanted to hold on to a dog full time, because I was going back and forth from parent to parent and city to city. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? Here's a chance to really check that box. So I spent a long time figuring out how to be a good dog owner. So I saw all the YouTube videos, I read a lot of books, and I figured out, I'm a bit of a nerd, a syllabus for training a dog, so that I wouldn't just have a pet, I'd have a companion. And really that's what I wanted in having a dog and getting a dog. So here we were looking for dogs, my partner and I had what I thought was a way to test the dog to see if the dog's going to be high energy or lower energy or in the middle, and I wanted a mid-energy dog. Here's Bailey again. You're such a good boy. So I found myself at a farm looking at dogs for a breeder, or a person who was breeding the dogs, and I saw Bailey with his brothers and sisters. And his sisters were all really hyperactive. His brothers were kind of in between. And when I saw him, I thought, okay, I'll pick him up and I'll see if he wriggles around. This was my test. Wriggles around and see if he wants to get free, or does he just relax if I put him on his back in my arms. He's 90 pounds now. But he was about 6 weeks old, and he was around 12 pounds back then. He was like a loaf of bread. That's what I call him. Anyway, so he passed my test. I picked him up. I looked at him. He looked at me, and he just relaxed in my arms. And I thought, this really passes the test. So I just watched them all interact for a few more hours, and I called up my partner and I said, you know what, I think I got our dog here. I'll put a deposit on the dog and then we can come back and look at the dog together because it was a Wednesday. And I wasn't working at the time and my partner was. So that was the plan. And she said, no, I trust you. Just get the dog. Come on home with the dog. I thought, whoa, oh, well, okay. So, I kind of whispered in his ear a little bit. I know he didn't understand me, but I said to Bailey, I promise I'm going to give you the best life possible. You're not going to be a pet. You're going to be a companion, and we're going to do things together. I'm going to give you the best life that I can give you. And I felt pretty good about saying that. We drove home. It was a long drive home. And now we got this dog. And I thought, wow, it was kind of taking my mind off of things with my rehab quite a bit. And then my father passed. And this was all before the pandemic. Not that much time, not just previous to the pandemic by a few months. And when my father passed, that was it was a very sad time for me. I kind of felt like I took a few steps back. Like I made a little bit of progress with parenting Bailey, and now that was put on pause because my father had passed, and he was an estranged man to the family, and he was also a remarkable man as well. He was an engineer, and he was a pilot, and he had a motorcycle, and he knew everything and can do everything. He had a cottage, and he had a lake for a backyard. And at age 75, he would swim 500 yards to the end of this lake and then swim another 500 yards to come back. And I don't know anybody at age 75 who could do that. So just to give you an idea what kind of guy he was very remarkable. And he passed, as I mentioned, and it made me feel like my progress had stopped in getting back into the world. In fact, I remember saying this out loud once, just after I had been hit by the truck. I remember saying, it was actually to my lawyer, just after having a mediation with the person who had hit me, that for a moment there, when I was hit, I was convinced that my parents would outlive me. And she said, "Can you say that again? What is that?" And her eyes got really big. And I said, "My parents nearly outlived me." And I remembered that just after my father had passed, which wasn't that much longer after that time, and all of that. So when I was seeing one of the therapists that I normally see, she said, "Why don't you train your dog to be your service dog?" And I thought, you can't do that. No, you can't. She said, actually, you can in Canada, and you can figure that out, and I'll help you figure that out. And she did. And it wasn't easy, but he is my service dog. He's trained as a service dog. And in fact, I've taken him recently to Costa Rica and back, and we've been surfing and all kinds of things, and it's been incredible. But I digress. In having Bailey in the first little while, with all of this happening, and then by the way, the pandemic started. So, I'm recovering from getting hit by a truck emotionally and physically. My father has passed. The pandemic has just begun. And Bailey's training as a service dog for me. All these things are happening. My partner, and this is in the first book, by the way, which is free. You can download at lifeofbailey.com. The details are in the info box below. She started to have a lot of breathing reactions to having Bailey around. A lot of respiratory problems, maybe histamine type of problems, allergies. that she didn't know she had. And it was a sad time because we had to remove Bailey from our place, and we weren't sure what to do. I spoke to my mother about it, and she said, "Do not get rid of the dog, please. Give me the dog. We'll figure it out." And she's a very, very wise woman, my mother. I call her Maker, by the way, not Mother, Maker, because she made me. Anyways, so she lives in another city. I drove to her place and dropped Bailey off, and it was very difficult for him. He was crying a lot, and I had to sleep with him on the floor. With all the moving around, he didn't know where his home was, and my partner felt bad about it. I felt bad about it. My mother was fairly stoic, and she took care of him for a couple of weeks. And that was a long 2 weeks until we figured out how to bring everybody back home. The details are in the book there, but when we finally reunited again, it was a really happy time. And my mother said, I've gotten to know Bailey, and in this time, he seems like a really nice dog. You're already writing a series of self-help books for people, self-development books, mental health books for people. Why don't you just write another one about Bailey for children? And that was her idea. And I thought, well, what a great idea, because I can use this series to help young children with their reading. They can practice it. And not just practice it, but families can do this together, practicing reading. So that's where the story and the motivation and the purpose came from the Life of Bailey series. I feel like it's taken something out of me to say all this to you, but I want to thank you for listening. If you haven't checked out the series yet, the details are in the description below. Like I said, you can download one of Bailey's books, his first one, right now at lifeofbailey.com, and share that with folks if you like. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. I feel myself sweating a little bit telling this story. It's been an emotional ride in these past few years. But thank you very much for your patience. And most importantly, remember that it's a great day to be alive. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bailey's in the next room saying, "Here." I don't know what he's saying. Bailey, do you want to come say goodbye? Come here. Hold on one second. Come here, Bailey. Come on. Want to say goodbye to the people? Let's say bye. Come. Okay. Let's say bye. Okay, come here. Come on over here. Come. Okay. High five. This is Bailey saying goodbye from behind. See ya. Bye.
Welcome to Sensei Publishing, creating transformative ebooks and guided meditations for adults and children worldwide.